computer. Okay, and you're going live? No, girl. In Facebook, Facebook. Are we going to live in Facebook?
Facebook. A flick of the ice switch.
My thing is telling that it's time to start. No, sorry. We go live now.
Live.
You're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Transgurus again. This time we are only two of us, apparently, Bonnie and I. There are some very good reasons why we are just two of us, but I'll explain you why. But hi. Say hello, Bonnie.
Hello.
Hey, come on. It's been another week. It's been very, very nice to see, we liked it very much last week and we are really happy. So I want to tell that, this coming Saturday, it's a very, very important day for the transgender community. That's why Raj and Morgan is not here today. The reason is very simple. It's Transgender Day of Remembrance. It is a sad day for the transgender community because we are remembering our death. And by God, it is amazing about how many people are dead. I just give you some statistics. The country, biggest amount of transgender people which die, which are killed, is Brazil. And I'm sure that there is certainly many reasons for that, but it's really terrible.
Why is it?
Brazil is because let's say in Brazil there's quite a lot of transgender prostitution, and it is very often on the streets. And of course they are. We don't see that much in the United States, but being transgender prostitution and on the streets, it's of course they are.
Okay, I understand. I was just curious.
Yeah, very visible.
The difference
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Here in the United States, we are about the second most still. So, and what you have to say as well is that it's rising. It's really rising. The amount of transgender people which are killed is rising quite substantially. I just give you some from the, from HRC, from Human Rights Campaign. This year, so far, has already been 47 transgender people and non-conforming people have fatally or killed violently in the United States. Last year in the same period was 44. So it is rising, and if you see, many of them are really quite young people, So if you go to the website of the Human Rights Campaign, you can actually see the names of all the people, which were all the transgender men, women, and non-conforming people that were brutally killed. It's quite terrible. I am glad.
Let me ask you a question. There is all these things. It says bring them on camera.
Sorry?
I never saw that where we can bring a whole bunch of people on camera with us. I don't know. I mean, is that something we want to do? Or I'm asking you. I never saw that before.
I don't know how that works.
It's like 5 people on my thing here. It says bring them on camera. Bring them on camera.
I don't know. I have no idea because I've never tried.
Should we invite some people?
I don't know. It's up to you if you want to. I don't see that actually. I don't see
it's
that.
all over mine.
Okay. So we really have to try to on this day, on Saturday, November the 20th, it's as told, Transgender Day of Remembrance. Let's have 1 minute pause for them. So this is the reason why that Raj is not here. There is a Transgender Day of Remembrance today in the Sunshine Cathedral here in Fort Lauderdale. And Morgan is preparing the Pride because on Saturday, there's going to be a very big Pride meeting in Fort Lauderdale. And he's one of the persons that he's doing. And I think that our good friend, Shannon, I think she's as well in Sunshine Cathedral. I'm not sure though. But she goes there very regularly, so I probably she's there too. But it's a very special day to remember them. Okay, so you guys, please be careful. Don't do any kind of crazy things that could, endanger you. Please do it, right, buddy?
Listen, first thing, that if you meet somebody and before you get intimate, you should reveal to them that you are transgender, so there's no surprises. And that a lot of times will do two things. One, eliminate that problem. And second of all, it might actually turn them on more. But with all that being said, it's better to let them know before as opposed to after, or maybe not at all, and then they find out, or somehow something happens, blah, blah, blah. If you're upfront and you're honest, that's the only way that you should do it.
Okay. Bonnie is talking in a situation that you are going to have an intimate time with the person.
Intimacy.
If you don't have an intimate time with the person, the person doesn't need to know that you are transgender. That's simple as that. Okay. But if you've got an intimate time with the person, don't take too much, make sure that people agree that what you are, and, unless it is too late, because
and that means before any kind of kissing or any kind of intimacy, you're just talking to somebody. It's not an ordeal. But if you're actually getting intimate of whatever sort, it might just be kissing in a bar. But what I'm trying to say, that person should know, because if their friends should read you, or somebody reads you, or somebody knows you and says something and it embarrasses that person, then the only way that person, even though they might be into you if nobody was around, but they don't want their friends to know, the only way they can save face is by becoming aggressive with you so that their friends don't think that they're a weirdo, although not that it's a weirdo to go with a trans person. But what I'm saying, the concept of cis people a lot of times is they wouldn't want to know, but that same cis person in an environment where their friends aren't around are going to be gung-ho. But if their friends are there, then they withdraw because of the fear of what their peers might have to say. And it sucks that we have to be that way in society. But I heard a saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And what's meant by that is a simple little thing. Just in case you didn't know, I am transgender. What does that mean? It means that I was assigned a different gender at birth than I am presenting, but I just wanted to let you know. And if you're post-op, you should still tell them and say, I'm a post-op transgender. And if you're not post-op, you let them know that you're pre-op. And at that point, wherever it evolves, you don't need to go into more detail. And the only reason I'm talking about this is because all these people that have gotten killed, and a lot of these people have made that exact mistake that I'm talking about. They did something in public, a cis person's friends saw it, and the only way they could defend their credibility or cisness or straightness or whatever the hell you want to call it is by being violent with you. And I say this from experience. I transitioned many years ago, but it was in a time in the 80s and 90s where things were not accepted like today. And I found myself in situations like that. And one time, I'm not going on, but I had three big football players, and one guy was hitting on me and opened the door for me. And his two buddies, one of them said something, and then it turned into an ordeal and it was at a Bob Dylan concert, all the places for it to happen. But anyway, I beat the shit out of all three of them. But the key is, I'm just trying to say is, thank God I knew how to fight, and thank God, in that situation many years ago. And is there any way that I could have told them when he was opening the door for me, I'm transgender? No, there's nothing I could have done. He just opened the friggin' door, and inside the concert where I could go out, but to get a drink or something. But the point I'm trying to get at is sometimes things happen we have no control over, and then other times things happen where we do have control. So always be careful where you go. Don't go into a bar that is a bunch of rowdy rednecks and expect everybody to embrace you. Go into a place that is maybe all kinds of people. I mean, to where you're not like in fear, and be careful where you go, the places you go, things you do. But that doesn't mean you can't be your authentic self. I'm just saying, it's like many things. It's not paranoia. You don't walk out of a place with your purse with $10,000 bills hanging out that everybody can see it, where somebody's going to want to rob you. No, you keep your money hidden, and you don't go out and flaunt things. Well, you don't go out and flaunt your transgender the same as you wouldn't want to flaunt something that attracts attention. Mm-hmm. And as long as you just try to blend, and I mean, like I told you, I had a situation that turned real nasty. There was nothing I could do. And that happens in situations, and I'm sorry to say that. Hopefully people don't have to go through that, because times are a lot different now than they used to be. But you can also be careful and not put yourself in situations that can be detrimental to your health. Go ahead, El.
So
but I don't want to be all depressed here.
People.
This is not supposed to be a Zoom meeting of depression. Yes, it's about, we're acknowledging the people that have died, but it's not to bring people down. It's just to make people aware that we do have the ability to, a lot of times, prevent things from happening because of our own actions.
We've got some reactions from our viewers. Sarah says, and people wonder why I leave the house with my service dog. Yeah, absolutely. That is probably, a protection for you, and that is good. I don't know how good that is, but and then Becca says, I lost 4 teeth because of an accident like you described. Yeah, absolutely. And you have to be careful. As my good friend Bonnie said, don't go to places which can be risky. It's just a very nice way of protecting yourself.
We went to see music one night. We were going to go see music one night. It was at a biker bar. And Ellen says, let's go. And I said, what are you, crazy? I wouldn't go in there. How much money you paid me? That's kind of what I'm talking about.
Depends what biker bar it is.
You see, you don't have all the baggage that I have, because you've never been in a situation like that. So you don't understand the fear of what can potentially happen. and especially in a place where there's a bunch of guys like that that are not your, never mind. Not that there's anything wrong with
Yeah.
biker guys. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they
Sarah,
might be a little bit more wild.
Sarah says, which right, a biggie is when you're going to a date the first time, make sure that they know ahead of time. I think that is very, very important too. Though I could, so Becca tells, I could be in a biker bar that I once frequented. Yeah, I mean, biker bars, depends where they are and what type. I've got, you know, I don't go very often, let's put it this way. Although I don't go into places, or I do go sometimes, but not always, into places which are foreseen as LGBT. But it's not necessarily necessary to go. So it's everybody should do what they think is right for them and where they feel safe. It's a question of feeling safe, you know? But apart from that, being transgender is a great opportunity, it's a great thing. I had my boyfriends and well, I am post-op. Sometimes I didn't even tell it that I was transgender, but I didn't find out either. But I mean, but you have to be very careful about that because it's really very, very, very dangerous, you know. Some people are a little bit crazy. It's as simple as that.
Just a little bit crazy.
Yeah. So Emma says, when I go into a night, I just stick to my local LGBTQ bar because I feel safe there, but it's the best place anyway. So that is a good result. So, you know, if you're comfortable there, perfect, you know. Many people do that. I mean, I have here, I mean, I go very often, we go very often to LGBT places. One of my preferred restaurants is Roses anyway here in Wilton Manors, but very LGBT. But it's, I mean, we go as well to all kinds of restaurants which are more or less LGBT or sometimes not at all. And when you travel, that is the issue because you don't know which places are good for you or not. So just try to, I mean, if you go up a scale, usually they are more safer. They don't go on, I mean, if you go to a city like, I mean, you know, Lisbon or a city which has got a very big seaport, just don't go to seaport bars because it's probably a very, very dangerous place to go. But that
sounds like you have experience there.
Oh, yes.
Okay, just asking.
But I mean, just don't go to those bars. It's a little bit like the bikers bars, but for the sea guys. And
you know, if you're going with somebody and you're not by yourself, and also you got to remember, there's a difference. When you dress, you can dress to stand out that everybody notices you, or you can dress that you blend. You can still look good and blend, but not like, look at me, and draw a bunch of attention to yourself, which can lead to issues.
Yeah, that could be an issue. Yeah, that could be really an issue. I mean, I've seen some people are more kind of, you know, expressive, which is absolutely great to be expressive, but in some bars, you know, keep your expressivity for yourself because
well, if it's an LGBTQ bar, you can go any way you want. Yeah. I mean, you can wear skirt and underwear. But what I'm saying is, if you're in a cis world, yes, it's better to not draw attention.
If it is in a rough place, be careful. So Sarah says, I live in rural Tennessee. I have a neighborhood's drunk 20-year-old son that yells anti-trans stuff down the street at a time. With my service dog for PTSD and mobility, an 85-pound German Shepherd tends to make people think twice before he's messing me with.
You know, I'm going to go get me a dog.
I understand you. I understand.
I'm going to get a Great Dane. I had one. He was 200 pounds.
Yeah, that's probably a good and safe place to do. One thing I would be very, I don't know, for the people which live in the States, I know that some trans women have got guns with them. You have to be careful with that because having a gun is not necessarily the best thing to do because there's always a response, and you never know what the other gun had, the other person, what kind of guns have, So just be very careful. If you don't know how to deal with it, don't use it. If you know how to deal with it, then it's okay. But if you don't know, don't use it.
Just remember, if you pull that gun out, somebody can shoot you legally without getting charged for anything. Because if you have a gun and you take it out, you're fair game, the same as you can shoot them. But if you break it out, you got to be ready to perhaps get shot yourself. So that's a real big thing about a gun. Sometimes, people feel that security blanket, but it's not. It's delusional as to how secure you really are.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm just commenting on that because I know some transgender women which have that beautiful idea to have that, but just have to be careful. You just have to be very careful. Here, where it depends where you are as well. Here in Florida, I have to say that we are pretty safe, more or less safe. I don't think that if you go to a normal restaurant, a cis restaurant, people will be particularly difficult with transgender people. If you don't pass very well or you are non-binary, you might have some comments like, what's that? Or something like that. Or I've heard once I was with someone and they said, oh, that's a cross-dresser, or that's a man, kind of thing. But in that case, just don't answer back, just let it go.
Or you can flash in your boobs.
Oh yeah. I know someone as well, which was in the restaurant, and she was misgendered. And really, do you think I'm?
Are you saying I did that in a restaurant about 4 years ago?
You remember?
And I was with Christian. Anyway, it doesn't. Yeah, they never misgendered me again. I tell you, all these years later, they still get it right.
Okay. Becca says, I'm loving listening to you both. Okay. We are just crazy girls, Thank you very much. Then I've got here, for my ordinary everyday, I just blend in. But on a night out, I do like to dress to be noticed, but still not throwing it all out there. I think that's
exactly that's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with feeling good, looking good, but you can also sometimes go overboard, and that attracts more attention. And sometimes that attention can lead to not positive things.
Sarah says, ever since I got my boob job, I tend to wear more revealing tops so that people see them and think less that I must be a cis woman. When I get gendered question coming out of the bathroom, I may flash the people with the to shut them up and ask which of the room should I use. I like your attitude. I have to say, honestly, I was never in the bathroom. I never had a comment about me being trans or something like that. But I probably would do the same thing. There's only one thing. Don't forget, many people misgender not because of you being, they think that you are transgender or whatever. It's because it's the way they are. They're not so well down up there. I mean, my daughter is a cis woman. She's a beautiful, gorgeous cis woman, and they still misgendered her. What do you have to say about that,
Well, maybe she should have shaved.
Sorry?
I'm just teasing. Her daughter's beautiful. She's got no hair. She's a cis woman. I was just trying to be funny. I shouldn't do that. Just trying
Okay,
to keep it light.
Sarah is going out for dinner. Okay. So I am not the only flasher. Ha 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 ha. She said.
No, ma'am. I tell you, I just
Oh.
love Flash. I don't go out anywhere. I'm wearing not a push-up bra today because I was trying to be whatever, because it's supposed to be a day of remembrance as opposed to a day of me. In all my videos, you always see me wearing a push-up bra, and I just love my boobs more than anything, showing them off. But at the same point, I try to, I don't know, sometimes I guess I do show them. I can't say, don't listen to me. I'm steered the wrong way.
Anyway, Emma says in the UK, we do not have guns around much, but they still doesn't mean I'm safe. I totally agree with you. Be careful. Having guns means means you have to be careful too, because it's there's a hell of a lot of legalities involved. I would have no worries if I was so beautiful as you two ladies. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Becca, that was really nice of you.
That was.
I have to say, Bonnie and I, we go out quite a lot, you know. We always go down to restaurants, and we love very much rock music. So we go and see rock shows. Bonnie just organized a rock show with almost 3,000 people. So, I mean, it's really quite amazing.
We broke 3,000.
And you know what? Absolutely incredible. People were
I
nice.
had to get up on stage and talk.
Yes.
Oh God, was that like freaking me out? Anyway, but it all went good, and we had the mayor, and we had all city council, we had all kinds of people, and it's all a lot of times got to do with your attitude, and what's meant by that. I'm okay, and I feel good about myself, and I like myself, and because I give off that vibration, it seems that I get a lot of people that are vibrating back in a very positive way.
Mhm.
And you know, we do things, and I'm sitting here going on, and you got to understand that sometimes, you know, it's like I say one thing, but I do another. And I know that when the last band was on stage, and it was about 3,000 people, and I had to give him a check, and I put it between my boobs and in front of everybody's on stage with his guitar ready to play. And I went up there to give him his check, and he bent down with his teeth, and he took it out in front of everybody between my boobs. And like, what a rush. And if you're sitting there, all these people, I mean, my God, am I like asking for somebody to beat me up? I don't know. I was in a very good mood that day, and I had a lot of friends around, so I was secure. Plus, there are a lot of police and all that kind of stuff. And I only say that because, you know, we all have our moments, and sometimes you might need to restrain yourself, although I'm not very good at that. But aside from that, the bars that we usually go to are cis bars. They're not LGBTQ, because that's where the music is at. So we go to, and a lot of times the bands are coming over saying hello to us because they know they've been on concerts, and Helen just loves that. And it's, you know, it's all about your energies. And you might feel really good with yourself, but you need to be smart about where you also put yourself. Like if a band's playing with those biker bars, I don't go there. But if they're playing at a bar that's, you know, a nice bar, that, I mean, things can happen, but it's a nice bar, yeah, then we'll take a chance on it.
And you know, sometimes in those beautiful bars, there's some very, very charming people of the opposite sex that you, or of the same sex, I mean, it's up to you, which are very, very, very attractive and nice. Yeah, come on, you know, it's what you're, you know, try to be safe. Don't do stupid things like, for example, I know someone and she went to an island in the Caribbean, and she kind of tried to get in bed with a mafia boss. And the mafia boss, I mean, got really excited about her. She's a very beautiful girl, transgender girl, pre-op, until it was the moment that things have to be shown. And well, the mafia boss was a bit crossed, and she had to leave that island in a hurry, not to get killed. So this is the kind of things that you don't want to do. I mean, if you get into that relationship, and if you get that, into that place, be clear what you are, and then it's up to them to decide if it is okay or not. So Becca is to run, but that is, I mean, I had, as I told you, I met one guy once, and I didn't tell him that I was transgender, and I was very lucky not to have an issue. Okay, I am post-op, so there's not that many differences. But you know what? Be careful. I was very lucky. I was really very lucky.
Why were you lucky? Because you're post-op?
No, I was lucky because I didn't get any kind of negative things, with the guy. But that's the way it goes. So be careful. Stay calm. Stay beautiful. And
Ella has a convertible.
don't let yourself be one of the people in the statistics of Transgender Remembrance Day.
I was with Ella one time. She has a convertible. We were with another trans girl who's a photographer professional. And we were just out having fun, but she whipped out her camera and said, let's get some pictures. So she started taking some pictures of me and Ella in the back of the Mustang. And this real cute guy took his shirt off and jumped in the back between us and was kissing on us and whatever. And he had two other buddies, and I heard one of them say, I think one of those is transgender. And instantly what went through my mind is, oh my God, are we going to have a problem? And I just kind of, Ella, because she hasn't ever experienced that, doesn't have that baggage. But me and I've been down that road. I do have that baggage. But anyway, it turned out really good, and they all laughed and had fun, and they didn't care. And it was, it was, they weren't hung up. They didn't have to, they were secure, I guess, in their sexualities, that they didn't get worked up over the transgender thing that this one guy was, hanging on both of us. And it was really fun. I mean, but it turned out good, but it could have turned out different. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. We didn't go out of our way to, it was outside the restaurant before we left. Mm-hmm. And it just so happened, and boom, and then there was this guy, and then boom, his two buddies, and then no boom afterwards. They left. But it was
a very nice experience.
Yes, but it could have turned into a very negative, even though we weren't looking for it. It found us, but we handled ourselves, and they handled it, and it turned out good. And a lot of times you shouldn't go places by yourself, whether it be a bar or different. I mean, a grocery store, it's not a big deal, but I'm talking going out to a club or something. You should always go with a friend, and doesn't necessarily have to be a male friend, or it could be another trans friend, but you should be there with a friend, so there's somebody that has your back. That if something does happen, at least there's somebody there.
I mean, you can if you know the place and if you know the people there, then you can go. But if you don't,
well, that's different. You know people there.
Be very careful. Be careful, because it's You never know what can happen to you, and let's put it this way. But you know, cis women do the same. Many cis women do the same thing. They don't go alone just like that, you know.
Exactly.
So it's just a question of protection, and you know, be careful. Mainly if you go out at 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? If you go out at 7, I don't think that's going to be too many issues. But at 2 o'clock in the morning, things change.
And it
Yeah.
also depends upon the place you're at.
Yeah. If you're in Miami, be careful. If you're in New York, be careful. I mean, it's although New York is a very transgender, there's many transgender people there. It can be a little bit vicious, although it's changed a lot. In the 70s and the 80s, New York used to be a really horrible place. Today, it's not so bad, but it can give one or two little issues if you're not prepared for it. So with all these good advices, I hope, and we're talking about, not in a negative way, about Transgender Day of Remembrance. I think that we're going to be closing soon, or closing. It was really great to have you all here. Tiffany says, I agree, always be honest. And I totally agree too, because honestly, to be honest, in the situations that we can get to, is a lifesaver. So just protect yourself. Bonnie, do you have any other words to tell?
There's all kinds of things going through my mind. Cafe 27, there's a band playing tonight. It's raining, and I don't go to bars by myself, but I do know people there. But you know, it's a night of remembrance, and it would be fun. But Ella doesn't want to go with me, so it's like, you know, I just have to deal with life gives me. But on a serious note, everybody have a good
on
night.
Saturday anyway. So
Yeah, but I'm just saying, have a good night, and basically be careful. An ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure. And I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes you can tell them that you're transgender and it gets them even more turned on. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you that it's not always negative. Sometimes it can be positive, and at the same point, by letting people know, it saves you from being in a very uncomfortable or situation you don't want to be in, and it doesn't take a lot of effort. And if they're interested in you, unless their friends are there or someone reads you, usually if they're interested in you, then they're not going to have an issue. And if they do have an issue, isn't it better that you know beforehand than afterwards? That's all I'm saying. Y'all have a very good evening. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for looking at us, and leave all your, beautiful comments. And don't forget, it is Transgender Day of Remembrance. Make 1 minute, pause
Silence.
or silence, just to remember all the people which suffered, because there is lots of suffering too. Okay. Love you all. Bye. Bye, everybody. Bye. Okay. We stopped live streaming.